I'm an idealist in many ways, and I don't think it's right that junior doctors have been asked to work over 100 hours a week in 2008. I mean, these are the doctors that are looking after your sick children. They're the doctors that are taking the appendix out at 11 o'clock at night. They're the doctors that you're seeing in the emergency room when you visit. Um, you know, they're a group of doctors who are expected to provide a 24-hour service around the clock to keep the HSE running. Yet, we're the first group that tends to be attacked when it comes to kind of pay and conditions and so on. The Irish Medical Organisation is made up of doctors of all types in the country, everyone from consultants to public health doctors, GPs, and the non-consultant hospital doctors, NCHDs, who are, I suppose, more commonly known as junior doctors. I suppose really my involvement came about probably a year after I graduated, when the Irish Medical Organisation came and spoke to us in the hospital at the time, explaining that they were on the brink of having a successful resolution to the kind of inhumane hours that doctors were working in the hospitals at the time. And as a young doctor at the time, working an average of 90, 100 hours a week, any thought of salvation from that, from the IMO, was very welcome indeed. The problem was that a year subsequent to that, after I came back from a brief spell working in Australia, nothing had changed, and it appeared to me that there was a lack of drive within the organisation to actually push the agenda forward, and that really was when I made a decision to get involved in medical politics. So I started out as a kind of rebel against an organisation that I'm now on the brink of becoming the president of, so I constantly question whether I've sold out or whether I'm just channeling my enthusiasm into the proper channels. The biggest challenge still facing junior doctors is trying to reduce working hours down to an acceptable level. EWTD is the European Working Time Directive. It's a directive that was originally written in 1993 that covers all workers in Europe within the European Union. I suppose the basics behind it are that there's a limit now, European limit on working hours in a week. You can't work more than 56 hours a week as a doctor in training, and more importantly than that, you can't work more than 13 hours at a time. If you think about Ireland, in Ireland today, this week, there will be people who will go to work on Friday morning and come home on Monday afternoon, and they will be in work the whole time. They won't get to leave the premises, they won't have protected meal breaks, they won't have protected toilet breaks. They will be expected to cover medical emergencies throughout that time, and they are often involved in making life and death decisions under not just extreme kind of emotional circumstances, but at the extreme end of the fatigue spectrum as well. And, I don't think that's right. The European Union doesn't think it's right. The Irish government in 2004 wrote the Irish legislation based on the European Working Time Directive and wrote all those provisions in to protect workers. But I think it has particular resonance in medicine because we also have to protect the patients we're looking after. Tired doctors make mistakes. That's been shown throughout the world. And when mistakes happen in medicine, unfortunately, people suffer and lives can be lost. In the 4.5 years since it was written into law in Ireland, unfortunately, there's been no moves to try and comply with the directive in any way. The HSE won't employ more doctors in Ireland. That's not going to be the solution to the problem. We hope that they will see sense and reorganise the services that they're providing so that the number of doctors that's there can provide the service in a way that's compliant with the directive. Now we're facing a situation where the HSE are docking our pay by 10-12%, removing our training facilities, the training grants, and that certainly has angered an awful lot of doctors, and it's angered us as representatives of those doctors. And sometimes you feel like you're being singled out for punishment because you're such a vulnerable group. My role, I suppose, upcoming as president of the organisation is to represent all craft groups, but the drive that's behind where I've come to, I suppose, so far, definitely is to look after the welfare of NCHDs and try and improve it where possible. I'm very fortunate to be in the position I'm in. I'm well aware of that, and hopefully I'll land on my feet on the other side of it.